Tonight, the rapidly shrinking Met. 1,700 police officers and staff will be cut to plug a £260 million black hole. The Mayor says neighbourhood policing won't be affected. Others say safety will be compromised.
If you contribute less towards the Metropolitan Police, you will get a worse service. There's no escaping that.
Also on the programme, more than 20 women come forward after the conviction of student rapist Zhenhao Zou. Police say there could be many more victims. Revelations that airlines warned Heathrow about its power supply just days before last month's shutdown. And the veteran bomber pilot celebrating turning 100 by inviting 100 people to his yoga class. Good evening. 1,700 jobs are to be cut at the Met Police. Officers, PCSOs and backroom staff positions will be lost as the force tries to plug a multi-million pound black hole in its budget. Sadiq Khan has blamed the funding crisis on the previous government, insisting there will be more police officers on the streets now than in his first year as mayor. But others have raised serious concerns over what a reduced police force may look like. Here's our political correspondent, Simon Harris.
A man with a grey rucksack is loitering with intent. CCTV cameras in a Bloomsbury cafe capture him pacing up and down. He spots a woman called Hannah and, without attracting her attention, helps himself to her laptop. Armed with the CCTV footage, Hannah reports the theft to the police.
They called me 2 days later, then sent me a link to upload the footage. 5 days later, took my statement. And then they sent it back to me. The statement was riddled with spelling errors that I had to correct and send it back to them. And then they said they'll be in touch, and it's been a month and they haven't.
The police say they're still investigating, but Hannah's experience will be familiar to many Londoners, and things could be about to get worse. The Metropolitan Police has announced it needs to axe 1,700 jobs. Scotland Yard says it's been forced to make tough choices because its funding from the Mayor and the government is short by more than £250 million. That means significant cuts and Londoners getting a poorer service from the Met. Among the looming cuts are an end to the Royal Parks Police, getting rid of police officers in schools, losing a quarter of mounted police and slashing the flying squad by 20%, as well as taking away the squad's guns.
If you contribute less towards the Metropolitan Police, you will get a worse service. There's no escaping that. We've heard that the current government has been critical of the previous government, 14 years, and yet seem intent on making exactly the same mistakes.
City Hall argues the Mayor has come up with record funding, which will protect more than 900 neighbourhood police. But it's not enough to stop some cuts.
Sadiq Khan constantly says that his number one priority is to keep Londoners safe. Well, you don't do that by allowing the police force to reduce in numbers. We just simply can't afford it.
We can't undo 14 years' worth of damage with the previous government in 9 months with the...
How long can you go on blaming the past government?
Well, the important thing is to compare 9 months versus 14 years, which is unfair. In 9 months, we've got, going into the Met Police Service, an additional £320 million. That's 6 times more than the previous 14 years.
Isn't this a consequence of your policies? You've chosen to freeze bus and tram fares. You've chosen free school meals over police officers.
Well, because of my policies and investment from City Hall, we have 1,300 more police officers than would otherwise be the case.
The Met says the bulk of the 1,700 posts which will disappear will be police officers, but there'll also be fewer community support officers and civilian staff.
So, Simon, has this caused a rift between City Hall and Scotland Yard?
Well, the prospect of what the Commissioner, Sir Mark Rowley, called a worst-case scenario was first flagged by him at the back end of last year, and I think it's fair to say it didn't go down well with either the Labour Mayor or the Labour government. However, Scotland Yard is adamant the figures are accurate. £260 million shortfall in the budget, 1,700 jobs facing the axe. However, City Hall says it's too early to talk about figures because that could all change after the government's comprehensive spending review in June. The Mayor says he's lobbying hard for more money for the Met. But realistically, is the government in a time of squeeze on public spending going to be able to find a spare £250 million?
OK, Simon, thank you. More than 20 women have contacted the Met Police to say they were victims of serial rapist Zhenhao Zou. The 28-year-old, who was a PhD student at University College London, was convicted last month of drugging and raping 10 women. Kath O'Patter is at New Scotland Yard for us now. And Kath, these women came forward following a police appeal, didn't they?
That's right, Yasmin, and this is the most complex sexual assault and rape case the Met has dealt with in recent years. We know Zou was a serial sexual predator. His crimes took place in London and China. Now, when the police arrested him, they found over 1,000 videos of women he'd filmed. Now, because some of these women were drugged while he was assaulting them, they may not even know that they are potential victims. The police have been working to identify the women in these videos, and as part of that, they put out an international appeal asking anyone who may have had contact with Zou to come forward. Yasmin, people have come forward. 23 women have contacted the police to say that they believe that they may have been assaulted by Zhenhao Zou.
Because we know the deceitful and insidious manner in which he's committed his offending, there's a very, very grave and entirely real risk that there's far more victims out there who may not even know they have been victims. Hence why we're having to revisit this appeal on more than one occasion in the hope that people will see what has happened, see his image, and perhaps it might even come back to them that they may have been a victim of his crimes, and we can then help them in the way that we'd hope to.
So, Kath, does this mean that there could be a second trial?
Well, Yasmin, that depends on a few things. Firstly, it depends on whether the police decide to bring further charges. If they do, then it's down to the CPS, the Crown Prosecution Service, to decide whether there's a public interest in prosecuting. You'll be hard-pressed to find a jury who haven't heard of Zou's criminal acts, and that, therefore, affects his chances of a fair trial. If they do decide to prosecute, Zou still has to decide whether or not he pleads guilty or not guilty. As it stands, he is still protesting his innocence. He says the sex he had with these people was consensual and it was all a form of role play. Regardless, the police want as many women who believe that they have been assaulted by Zou to come forward. They want this to happen before June, because the more people that come forward before he is sentenced, the harsher his sentence may potentially be.
OK, Kath at New Scotland Yard, thank you. Police have released a picture of the schoolgirl who disappeared after falling into the Thames in North Woolwich. Kalia Koa has been officially named as the missing 11-year-old. She'd been playing near the water with friends on Monday when she was swept away. A recovery mission is continuing. An amber wildfire warning's been issued by the Met Office as temperatures are set to rise to an unseasonably warm 20 degrees this week. The London Fire Brigade is urging people not to have barbecues in open spaces, to throw rubbish away and to dispose of cigarettes carefully to avoid starting a fire. And officers from City of London Police have been giving out advice on how to protect your phone from thieves. People are being advised to mark them with QR codes so they can be returned if stolen, and to have strong passwords to avoid fraud. Signs have also been sprayed on the ground in phone snatching hotspots.
When you leave your house, you lock it. When you use your car, you lock it. So when you lose your device, you need to make sure it's as hard as possible for the criminals to get into that. And you can do that through device two-factor authentication. You can do that by ensuring Face ID. You can do that in a key way by making sure your PIN number isn't something obvious, such as your date of birth, because criminals can harvest all sorts of key information from the dark web. They share information about victims. So if you are subject to this sort of crime type, make it as hard as possible for these criminals.
Now, airlines warned Heathrow about power supply risks just days before a massive outage, a committee of MPs was told today. The airport was out of action for nearly an entire day last month, causing chaos for hundreds of thousands of passengers. It's led to some difficult questions for the Heathrow boss, as Carolyn Sim reports.
It was a day which ruined travel plans.
Gutted. I'm gutted.
Grounded hundreds of flights.
This is absolutely devastating.
And raised questions about how a fire at a substation could have closed Heathrow for almost 24 hours.
What do you say to all those passengers who were delayed?
Today, Heathrow's chief executive was in Westminster for a grilling by MPs who wanted to know if the shutdown was really necessary.
Why did we close the airport when we cannot safely operate the airport, and when we cannot guarantee and have full visibility and transparency on the fact that we can operate the airport safely, then we cannot operate the airport.
The committee heard that concerns about the airport's resilience had been raised twice by airline operators just days before the fire. It was claimed that thieves had recently stolen wire and cables and caused the lights on the runway to go out.
Obviously made me concerned, and as such I'd raised the point that I wanted to understand better the overall resilience of the airport.
There were questions too about whether Terminal 5 could have stayed open that day.
The runway was okay, NATS could operate effectively.
The fact that the lights were on at Terminal 5, which is entirely correct, doesn't mean the terminal was operational. We didn't have all CCTV, we didn't have fire surveillance. All that had to be secured before we started operation.
MPs were told it would cost at least £1 billion to retrofit and rewire the airport's systems to protect it from any future event. The National Grid says despite the fire, there was enough power available to the airport that day. But business leaders want more investment. Otherwise, they say West London will lose out on opportunities for growth.
The knock-on impact of not having enough energy supply is that it means we're building fewer homes, we're creating less jobs, we can't power up a green transport system, and even expansion of Heathrow will be reliant on more investment in the grid. This is a wake-up call, I think, to everyone to crack on with investing in a robust energy network.
The meeting ended with promises that ongoing investigations will soon deliver answers. But for so many passengers, the damage has already been done, and they want assurances it won't happen again. Carolyn Sim, ITV News.
Still to come on the programme, the young West Ham striker leaving a lasting legacy more than a decade after his death.
Arms up towards the ceiling, but shoulders dropping down away from the ears, and we'll just take a couple of
And how does a World War II veteran celebrate his 100th birthday? With a massive yoga class, of course. But first, Surrey Police are hoping to find the owners of an extraordinary number of missing items found during an ongoing burglary investigation. From antique jewellery to designer sunglasses and games consoles, officers can't be certain where all the stolen goods have come from, but think they could originate from across the home counties and several London boroughs. Mike Pearce has been taking a look.
Just some of the thousands of items recovered by Surrey Police. They were investigating a number of robberies. When they made a series of arrests, what they didn't expect was the sheer number of stolen watches, rings and just about every other type of jewellery, money and many other items.
We believe that these items have come from all of the home counties during different burglaries.
And there are literally thousands of them.
Thousands of items, cash, handbags, suitcases full of jewellery, watches, gold, you name it, we had it.
How surprised were you when you actually made this discovery? Presumably you weren't expecting that.
Yeah, so we were aware of a few burglaries that we had been able to link the subjects to, but actually we think that there's a hell of a lot more burglaries that have taken place, which is why we have so much jewellery. So it was a big shock to us all.
There are so many items, Surrey Police have photographed them and created an online catalogue. Police believe a gang of 4 from Colombia came over specifically to commit the robberies. They've now pleaded guilty. This CCTV was used to help police make the arrests.
We just want people to kind of look through the photos, get in contact with us if they think that they were burgled over that period of time, sort of November through to December. And we just want people to identify this jewellery. There's so much that must mean something to people, engravings, individual pieces that might have been handed down through the family, things that they got on their wedding day. This stuff means something to someone.
With the weather getting better, police are asking people to be vigilant.
Not putting ladders close to windows, dustbins, remove them away from their windows, security lights, cameras and alarm systems. These individuals that we have in custody at the moment just look like normal members of the community, but it's about looking, are they carrying rucksacks, are they parking up nearby, sort of scoping out areas, just being vigilant in your community.
Surrey Police say around half of the items have still not been claimed. Meanwhile, the gang responsible will be sentenced at the end of the month. Mike Pearce, ITV News, Surrey Police Headquarters in Guildford.
OK, let's find out what's on the evening news. Here's Mary.
Coming up in the programme, the UK braces for Trump's trade tariffs. But what impact could they have on our economy? The boss of Heathrow faces questions as MPs hear the airport was warned about possible power outages just days before the shutdown. And
you can be my wingman anytime.
Goodbye to Iceman. Top Gun star Val Kilmer dies at the age of 65. Do join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Now, Dylan Tombides was an up-and-coming young footballer, a talented striker just starting his professional career at West Ham. But in 2014, when he was 20 years old, Dylan passed away from testicular cancer. After his death, his mum set up a charity foundation to educate young men about male cancers. And tonight, as part of Testicular Cancer Awareness Month, a special film honouring Dylan's life and legacy is being screened. Zhenhao Zou reports.
When Dylan grows up, he wants to be a professional soccer player and make it to the world stage.
An ambitious young boy who always dared to dream. In doing so, he made his dream a reality. He played for his beloved West Ham and was tipped to become one of Australia's greatest players. Dylan Tombides took everything in his stride, including testicular cancer, but over 10 years ago, it eventually took his life at just 20 years old.
He had the world at his feet. I look around here and I see that the signs that say this is the world stage up on behind in front of us. And yeah, that's what Dylan wanted to do as a 12-year-old.
Dylan's impact was so strong that even football rivalry was put aside to pay tribute to the young hammer. But now Dylan's legacy lives on through the Dylan Tombides Foundation, a charity that was set up by his mum to raise awareness around early detection, something she says could save lives.
It's one of those cancers that has a very high success rate if caught early. And so that's our aim, is to get people to understand the seriousness of the disease. This set I take with me wherever I go, and it has 4 tumours in them, and we teach the men to actually how to check their testicles for tumours and you know, to take their thumb and forefinger and roll their testicle around to see if they can feel any lumps. You know, we explain the difference between finding lumps above the testy and what other possibilities they could be diagnosed with it.
As part of Testicular Cancer Awareness Month, West Ham Football Club will be hosting a special film screening honouring Dylan's life this evening in central London. To learn more about Dylan's legacy, I spoke to his former teammate who says he shone beyond the pitch.
I didn't really realise what he was going through because he was such a happy guy. You know, he was there at the training ground, he was walking around always with a smile on his face. You know, his commitment to everything, and you know what he was going through, that didn't affect anything that he was doing outside of that treatment. You know, he was an inspirational person.
Now, the hope is that through early detection and education, others can hold on to their own dreams a little longer. Zhenhao Zou, ITV News.
Some other stories for you now, and he may be a Scottish icon, but a portrait of Robert Burns that was found during a house clearance in Surrey has sold for 160 times more than its asking price. The painting was given an estimate price of about £500, but sold at Wimbledon auctions for more than £84,000. And sticking with art, Londoners are being asked to share stories of how art has saved them. The best ones will go on display at Stratford Tube Station from September. It's part of a new Art on the Underground project exploring the role that art plays in everyday life. Finally, the former World War II bomber pilot who has no intention of slowing down despite reaching a milestone birthday. Roy Briggs turned 100 years old this week, and to celebrate, he's been encouraging everyone to keep as active as possible. Today, he invited 100 people to take part in a very special yoga session. Rags Martel went along.
Arms up towards the ceiling.
100 years young. War veteran Roy Briggs flexing his way to a century with a chair yoga class.
Roy, happy birthday. How does it feel to be 100?
Getting used to it. Because for 99 years I've been waiting to get to it.
At Hemel Hempstead Leisure Centre, a mass mobilisation of more than 100 yogis. One for every year of his life, celebrating a century of Roy.
Nothing like Roy. I cannot believe what I've just seen. He's remarkable, and I hear that he even walks to his yoga sessions, which is quite astonishing.
It's just amazing because of his attitude. He understands that you need to keep moving if you want to keep as healthy as you possibly can, and I want to be like him when I grow up, basically.
Roy served in the Royal Air Force during the war, working as a wireless operator and flying missions on Lancaster bombers when he was just 20.
Do you remember flying in the Lancaster bombers?
Yes.
What was that like?
The first time I got a lot of anti-aircraft fire around me, I thought, was this really me flying over Germany, being shot at?
Today, Roy says he has about 15 children and grandchildren.
I'm just appreciative that we still have him, and hopefully for many more years.
And this is his great-granddaughter?
It is.
Who's this?
Minnie? Julietta.
Julietta.
He's an inspiration to everyone. You know, it's a real honour to have him as my dad.
Doing the yoga, do you think that's the secret of keeping young, fit and healthy?
It's part of it, yes.
What's the other secret?
I've got an exercise bike, which I get on every morning.
He's an inspiration, and yeah, he did really well today. He's a lovely guy.
I am very, very proud to be here, and I would like to shake his hand, actually.
And at the end of the session, birthday cake cut with a ceremonial sword.
And how does it feel to have all this for you?
It's another life at the moment.
Well, on behalf of ITV, happy birthday, Roy.
Hip hip!
And as celebrations continue, Roy says he's already looking forward to his next yoga session. Max Martel, ITV News, Hemel Hempstead.
Happy birthday, Roy. Right, it's been another lovely sunny day. Will it last? I think it will. Sally can tell us. Here's her forecast.
ITV London weekday weather is sponsored by Octopus, the renewable energy company.
Hello, a very good evening to you. I hope you had a lovely day. Gorgeous start there. Just love it when it's that colour, and it's getting warmer over the next couple of days. We've got plenty of sunshine still to come. It is, though, just a bit cooler and that easterly breeze, and the further east you live. Let's take a look at the pressure chart. Explains nicely that it's the high pressure that's giving us the settled weather, possibly a bit cloudier for Thursday. Friday, the warmest day of the week, but still settled, even though it's a little bit cooler as we head through the weekend. And I just want to show you this, because on Friday, when our temperatures are likely to peak, London could be warmer than Ibiza, Cyprus, Spain and Portugal. I know. Good reason you didn't go on holiday. Right, for the rest of tonight, we've got lots of blue skies to end the day and clear skies overnight. So yes, our temperatures will drop down, but just not quite as far as last night. So it'll be quite fresh as we head on into tomorrow morning, those temperatures in those mid-single figures. But another cracking start for you. Plenty more beautiful sunshine. Couple of changes tomorrow. As we go through into the afternoon, we start to see a bit of cloud move up from the south, but it's high-level clouds, so it might just turn the sun a little bit hazy. And the next thing are the temperatures. So they're warmer, highs of 19 to 20 degrees, particularly where it's sheltered, but it is still a bit cooler the further east you live and if you're in that breeze. Got another nice evening for you. Even though it could be a bit hazy, it should stay dry and mild as well. Right. For the outlook, well, we said there'd be sunshine, and there is. You can see that, all those medallions there. You can, though, through the weekend, see those temperatures just edging down again, but all being well, it'll still feel rather pleasant. That's it. Cheerio.
Octopus Energy sponsors ITV London weekday weather.
Very nice. That's it from us. The evening news is next with Mary. For now, from all of us, enjoy your evening. Bye-bye.